Welcome to Developing the Leader Within podcast, the podcast that brings you leadership insights from the brightest minds shaping our world. Join us as we dive into conversation with trailblazers, innovators, and change makers, spanning every corner of the globe. Get ready to explore new perspectives, gain actionable insights, and become the leader the world needs today. Unleash your potential. Tune into Developing the Leader Within podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Let's embark on this transformative journey together. Developing the Leader Within podcast, leading beyond the limits.
Welcome back, everyone. If you haven't subscribed, please do so right now, as it will help us get our show to others and help us get to our next milestone. Make sure to catch us streaming on Parade Deck, on Roku and Amazon Fire TV, on the Purpose Place Network, and catch our exclusive members-only content, Going Deeper Within, on the Lions Guide Academy. Today, we are speaking with Dee Bowden. Dee is a revenue recovery expert. She is the author of Collect the Cash and is a public speaker. She assists medium-sized companies recover outstanding payments effectively and efficiently in 90 days or less, using her proven 4 keys to collect the cash framework: problem solving, customer service, express gratitude, and relationship building. She has also been featured in Forbes. Dee, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Enrique. It is good to see you, and good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to your listening audience around the world. We're about to have a good time today. Let's go.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And folks, we will be speaking about courage over comfort, how leaders get paid without apology. But before we get into all of that conversation, Dee, tell us a little bit about you.
So I'm originally from Boston, live in the great state of Maryland. My fun facts are I love smooth jazz, great wines, and Ferris wheels. And then my story that will kind of lead to the coverage over comfort kind of goes like this. So about 20 years ago, I used to work for a small IT company outside of Boston, where I'm from. You've worked in corporate. I worked in corporate and also supported government agencies. You know how it is. Welcome aboard. Here's your cubicle or your office, and here's your plant. And then in my case, welcome aboard. Here's a list of accounts worth $8 million that are owed to our company. What? How much? $8 million. Are y'all serious? Yeah. And your resume says you know how to collect the cash, so we need you to help us do this. So I go get to my cubicle, and I'm like, y'all have 8. So they've sold. This is a small IT company, about 100 people. They sold $8 million worth of IT services. So software licenses, computers, all of the things. And I'm like, so y'all couldn't crack the code? No. Got it. So out of the 4 keys to collect the cash was born out of what I did. So in 60 days, I collect $6 million on a part-time basis. Then the unthinkable happens. The CEO of the company says, let's come downstairs. Now, you know how it is when salespeople win a new contract. There's a whole celebration. There's a bonus. Commission, all the things. So I'm thinking, me and my team, we've collected all this money. We're about to get a bonus. No. Thank you so very much across the entire departments, all of them. So that's sales, contracts, order entry, order fulfillment, everybody. We thank you so very much. We've made an executive decision. We're closing the company today and letting all y'all go 2 months before the holiday season. This is how come Collect the Cash got born, because I'm sure Enrique and your people that are listening, everybody in life and in businesses had something that's jarred them, and you go, did this really just happen to me? That's the first question. Then secondly, you go, I don't want to experience this again. So what can I do with this pain, this grief, or this challenge, and make it better? So I chose to create Collect the Cash to teach business owners how to, one, track their payments, make sure that before this gets into the 60 and 90-day past due issue, what are you doing to fix the problem so that you don't end up like what happened to me?
And wow, what a story. Now, that kind of smells to me like they got the cash and then they closed shop.
They did. They literally did. They're like, deuces.
You get so many stories about how corporations operate. That one, folks, is a sleazy way of doing it. But hey, you never know how much impact your real work does. And you basically set them up to be able to say, hey, we can do this now and we can, just do away with it. And it was good. I tell you, yeah, it's not good that people lost their jobs. It's not good
Right.
that they closed,
Right.
but you did your job so well that you set them up for their own success, or maybe the demise of everybody else, but it still was effective and efficient. So, Dee, you say that revenue is not just about sales, it's also about collection. So, what mindset shift? Because there is one that needs to happen. Must leaders make to treat collections as a leadership act
Mm-hmm.
rather than an administrative chore?
Great question. Well, number one, the mindset shift is this. You got to go from, I like to say it this way, we got to go from what had happened was to how do we win? And when we win, we get paid. So from a leadership perspective, it's not just, okay, here's my team of AR, here's my list of accounts, meet the quota, dot, dot, dot. From a leadership perspective, it's okay, what support do you need in order for you to do your job more effectively? Number one. Number two, how do we go from just collecting the cash to how do we go from collecting cash to actually being solution based? Solutions could be internal, meaning what are the tools, the knowledge, the skills, and abilities that the people that are doing the work need? Number two, what about the people outside? Number three, what about the partnerships? Like, so you've got sales and AR. Does your AR team know who the salesperson is for their particular account, and vice versa? What if you've introduced new technology? As you and I both know, AI and automation is all the rage. Does everybody know how to use it? Number one. Number two, you talk about leadership. How about this? How about making sure that your people that are more seasoned in terms of how they do their things, when they see the new technology, it might intimidate them. Have you created a map to go, this is the old way of doing it, this is a new way of doing it, we're going to connect the dots, kind of like, a T-square. On the left you have this, on the right you have this. Have you created a kind of mind map to show people who may be feeling nervous about this new technology, how can we do this? So number one, first, before you do that, I value you and I want you to continue to be successful. But the direction we're going in now is we're bringing AI, we're bringing automation. And it's not to say that what you've done is not still needed. You just need to be able to take the old and the new and do this. So from leadership, it's okay, how do I support the solutions that we're introducing? Number one. Number two, how do I make you feel seen? Number three, how do you understand that this is not just collect the cash, it's collect the cash and the sale is not complete until the money's in the bank, which means sales and AR both need to be talking, both need to be communicating to make sure that, yes, the sale is one, but you don't get your commission until the AR person, like me, collects your cash.
And that's so powerful. The what about question for leaders. If you are listening and you're not asking the what abouts, those are the things that create blind spots for you. And so, Dee, as we're talking about blind spots, what are some common leadership blind spots that lead to invoices going unpaid and in the bank? And how can leaders correct them before they cost the business?
What a question. Well, one blind spot is because you're just looking at the aging and you're thinking, okay, the aging shows 30, 60, 90 days past due. Have you as a leader found out from the people that are basically on the floor, is this information correct? Is it possible that the systems have not been updated? Because a payment could have come in, you've rerun the report, and you're like, well, yesterday it was this. It was like, well, no, sir, the payment just came in. We need to update the system, and it usually takes 24 hours. So one is double checking the reports and making sure that the information is correct. Number two, it's checking with the people that are on the floor. I call them the practitioners, because sometimes the mindset shift is, okay, just get the money, but it's like, wait a minute. Do you have any challenges with any of these clients that we collectively need to sit down and help you figure it out? Because, okay, yes, you get on the phone or on Zoom or the Google Meets or Microsoft Teams and you do the call, ... And then you realize, okay, we're not getting anywhere because you're the client and you're frustrated because we haven't taken care of things, or I'm trying to collect the money and there's a disconnect. What if you got some extra help to help you see, okay, the reason you're missing this is that, okay, when we made this sale and we got this invoice and we got the contract, oh, there's some information that we forgot to tell you. Well, that's a blind spot, because me as a collector, I'm not going to know that there's one piece of information that's missing, because you just told me go collect the money. You never told me that there was a piece of information that was changed, or the contract has an additional thing. So part of it is sharing information. I think sometimes leadership needs to understand that yes, the people that are on the ground, the boots on the ground, if you will, they're doing the work, but sometimes they need support, and sometimes the support is okay. Is there anything that we missed that we forgot to tell you, or it's not in the system, and then making sure that the systems are updated. I understand we jokingly say everything needs to be done in 144 characters or less, but that's not always the best way. Sometimes you need to be able to say, I missed this. How do we fix this collectively? And then I think it's got to be that it can't be just sales or it can't be just finance. It's got to be, how do we do this together?
And such a great leadership thought there about, do I know my systems good enough and how they operate so that I'm not asking the wrong questions on the wrong time at the wrong day? So it's one of those things that as leaders, you have to be so in tune with not only the personnel that you have, but with the processes that you have, because you could be bogging things down because you're not knowing them well enough. Great points there. Technology is definitely one of those things that will create blind spots. Now, collecting money for a lot of people is kind of something that they fear, right? It requires courage to be able to say, hey, where's my money? So you've mentioned that courage plays a role in getting paid.
Absolutely.
How do you define courage in the collections process, especially when facing clients who avoid payment?
Great question. First of all, courage to me is confidence. Let me let that sit. I'm gonna let that sit for a minute. Courage is confidence because first of all, let's dial it back. When people hear the word collections, most people go, "Oh my gosh, I would rather do anything to go have instead of have to go ask my client for the money." I jokingly say, if it gives you the heebie-jeebies, you're like, ugh, or you would rather go get a root canal. I'm kind of doing it tongue in cheek, but seriously, B2B collections comes with energy around money that's very charged, and a lot of people, especially if they're not trained in how to have the conversation and not see it as confrontational but solution based, that's one thing. Secondly, like I said, courage is confidence. I say it this way: as confident as you would have asked for the sale, you have to be just as confident to ask for the money, and understanding that the sale is not complete until the money is actually in the bank. So there's an entire process. It's not just you landed the sale. Yes, you get the sale. Yes, you get the contract. You have a deliverable. You have to invoice, you have to get paid. And somewhere in between when you invoice and you get paid, there's a disconnect because okay, I read the contract and I did my invoice, and I missed a step. So the client gets the invoice and they're like, well, we can't pay this because you forgot to include X amount of receipts or X amount reported or . And you're like, oh, well, in order to have the courage and the confidence to ask for the payment, you also have to have the courage and courage and confidence to say, is it possible that we made a mistake? Ask them and let them tell you. Take note. I'm old school. I believe in writing down notes. I believe that if they help you untangle the disconnect or why they haven't paid you, the courage is to stand up and ask them. The confidence is to know that once you get this information, you are going to take responsibility and make sure that whatever mistake we made, we're going to course correct it. We're going to apologize for the inconvenience caused. We're going to thank you for getting the information, and then we're going to change. We're going to fix it so that we don't keep making the same mistake. So courage in collections is confidence in knowing that you have a right, especially if you've done all the things according to your contract that you're entitled to. And number two, it usually isn't combative or aggressive. It's usually just, okay, you have a point of view about what was done. I have a point of view about us collecting the money. Sometimes there's a disconnect, and sometimes, a lot of times, it's data entry errors. A lot of times, it's miscommunications. A lot of times, people don't have the courage to say, you know what, a mistake was made. And then, and they also don't come with the approach. What I teach is come with the solution. But I'm not trying to attack you. I'm trying to understand what was missed, then how do we fix it? How do we course correct it so that we don't keep making the same mistake? Part of what makes collection sometimes so challenging is because people don't listen. One person's talking, another person's talking, but they're talking over each other, as opposed to how do we come together so we go from what had happened was to how do we win? And when we win, we both get paid, meaning we get paid and you get paid by us fixing whatever issue was done. We course correct it and we don't do this again.
And that's so important to realize what habits you may be employing that are not good for that transaction. Just think about if you asked, hey, did we cover all the deliverables in order to facilitate the payment, right? And so in the contract, you should be able to say, okay, this is how you want it. All right, well, that's how we get paid. And you would think it's important. But what leadership habits can prevent non payment issues from even starting, especially in service based or small businesses?
Well, that's a good question. So, a leadership issue. Number one, leadership doesn't read the contract. They assume that because they've gotten the contract that everything is correct. So the assumption is that everything is there. Sometimes leadership needs to make sure that number one, that all the parties that are involved in the contract, who's doing the service, or who's doing the deliverable, who's doing the invoicing, who's doing the payments, who's doing whatever, that everybody understands collectively. This is our contract. It's not just mine, it's ours. And then who are the important players? So the person who's handling contracts, do they understand how this particular vendor or contract, I'm sorry, how do they understand how this particular client likes their information? That's one. Number two, accounts payable. Do you have all the information you need from the contract to set this up correctly in the system so you can build them? Number three, accounts payable, accounts receivable. Do you understand that everything has to be set up correctly first before you can go collect? Yeah, that part. Okay, four. Are there any questions? I mean, sometimes I just feel like it's old school, but like, are there any questions? Is there anything that you don't understand? Because I would rather us take 5 extra minutes and ask the questions and get everything laid out first before we just jump into the next thing. And then on the back end, which is usually what AR does, we're the ones that have to clean up all the things because nobody took the time to ask the questions on the front end. So that's one way leadership can do it, is to say, hey, we just won this huge contract. I think we ought to have a 15-minute call. Let me make sure that all the players, because there's one person that's going to deliver the service or more. There's the people that have to bill it, the people have to collect the money, and any other thing I haven't thought of right now. But the point is, it's a collective team sport, and so from the win until the payments, all the things. And one of the things leadership can do is say, hey, are you clear? And if you're not, 15 minutes. Okay, I'll give you a perfect example about this. So because I've supported government agencies and I've closed out thousands of contracts and collected over $100 million across a variety of government agencies, one of the things with closing out contracts is because people don't take time to fix things on the front end, when it's time for me to close out a contract, to go back and untangle data entry errors, financial errors, mistakes with the vendors, invoices that were missed, all kinds of things. And if the team that was managing that contract had said, let's make sure from when we award this contract to when we put it into the system, until we deal with the vendor, until we bill, et cetera, I would probably have not had as many issues to untangle and clean up. But I understand it because everything was fast paced. Award the contract, get it done, get it done. The assumption is that closeout will catch it on the end. Well, a lot of times we're catching things that have been mistakes for years. And sometimes, the personnel have come and gone. The data, now because we live in a world that's electronic, these files might have been paper. And you got to go into a file room and go figure out where's the paper for the contract or whatever. The point is that it's the 5 extra. I'm just old school. I just believe that the 5 to 10 extra minutes of asking the questions and doing your best. I mean, yes, do you sometimes miss it even if you do all of that? Absolutely. I just feel like the effort to find out, is everybody clear on the front end before we start rolling? Because of course, as somebody who has to clean it up on the back end, a lot of times I'm trying to untangle things that have been wrong for years, and oftentimes the personnel has changed, the records are gone, or the information is just missing, and I can't fix it.
Yeah, especially in high turnover entities where people can come and go. Those things, the leader is the buck, right? The buck stops there. The leader has to know what and who and when, especially if you want to get paid. But those conversations still, let's say I get the courage, right? I get the confidence, right, to say, all right, I'm going to have this conversation because now, hey, I'm watching these days go by. So how can leaders hold clients accountable without damaging the relationship or sounding desperate?
Good question. So how to not sound desperate is this. when is the first invoice due? When is the payment due? So I mean, you need to have a okay. I start this way. One of the ways not to start desperate, you need a tracking system. Name of your client, contract number, dollar amount. What did they buy from you? When are you supposed to invoice them? When do you bill them? When do you get paid? And even though you have a great memory, a section called notes because there's too many details you have to remember. So having a tracking system, number one. Number two, if you follow the tracking system, you know when you're supposed to, based on the deliverable, when do you invoice them? Okay, invoice is submitted. In your section, when is it supposed to be paid? Do you have your system in place so that if the payment is missed, there's an automatic email that reminds the client with this one thing? Secondly, if it's not you, leader, who's your best person on your team to engage with that client to find out how do we get paid? And then three, again, I always talk about you coming from a solutions base. We're not coming at you owe me the money. How do we how help me help you? What is the issue that's holding up this payment? Pause, let them tell you. If you can fix it on the spot, fix it, or you can say to them, you know what? One, apologize. Number two, can we have 24 hours to fix this? And then three, resubmit it. And if they tell you there's something else, as a leader, your job is to get the information and then help the people that can fix it, give them the information, and then work with them to say, okay, we need to fix this because this client is ... and we've had this client relationship for a long time. The last thing we want to do is aggravate them or anything like that. So we need to tighten up our system so that we don't keep doing this. And then once you do that, I mean, I don't think you're going to sound desperate. First of all, because you have a contract, because you've got deliverables, you're supposed to invoice and you're supposed to get paid. The objective is to solve the problem for why the invoice isn't paid, fix the issue, resubmit it if you need to, and then thank the client for helping you understand where you missed it, and then expect payment. And then before you hang up, confirm with them, when can we expect this payment? And then get it an email so that you know.
Yeah, there's plenty of ways to do it. That was a perfect way and set up for anyone listening, so that if you feel the EBGBs about this whole thing, I understand. I'm one that really doesn't like to hound people, but I don't see the payment as personal, right? That's
Right.
part of the contract. And so when I was able to separate those two, because before I would be like, D, I don't want to call. I don't want to bother them. I don't. But then once I separated that, I was like, no, this is part of the contract. That's administrator. I got to do that. That has to be done. And then I'll work on keeping the relationship going the way it has been on my side. This is wonderful information. Folks, I hope that you have learned how to get your money, collect the cash, right? Now, Dee, what do you have coming up, and where can the viewer or the listener follow you or support you?
All right. Well, first of all, again, thank you so much for the opportunity. What I have coming up right now is that Collect the Cash has its own podcast. I'm so excited about that. And we are on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple. So one of the things you can do for me is go look up Collect the Cash with Dee Bowden, listen to it, and leave a review, because I want to grow this. And then also season 2 is in production. So season 2 will be coming out soon in the fall. So there will be even more lessons around how to collect the cash, especially dealing with courage and confidence, and how do you do this and not mess with the relationship. That seems to be the theme I hear a lot. Next, obviously, getting a copy of Collect the Cash, the book, please visit www.collectthecash.biz/book. Again, that's collectthecash.biz/book. When you get the book directly from me, as Enrique can attest to, I sign it personally and send it to you, because first of all, I want you to take a picture and then tag me on social media, because listen, we gotta spread this. We gotta spread this love.
Well, folks, we'll definitely have all the links and the show notes and the video. But hey, like she said, yeah, I can attest. I have it right here. There's her signature, and it's a wonderful book. And she's been so gracious to make this available to one of our lucky subscribers. So you may be in the running if you subscribe to the channel to get her book. But if you're not a selected person, go ahead. We'll have those links so that you can support her in that endeavor. Dee, thank you so much for all that you do in this industry, because you're teaching people how to become courageous and get that money flowing back into their business. Folks, today's episode is sponsored by the Global Trends Magazine, the Outlier Project, Fantail Services, Southern Sweet and Sassy Coffee, Ascend Meditations, and Chop AI. And if you've enjoyed this episode and learned something interesting about the topic covered today, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and let us know by leaving a comment. Tune in next week for another episode where we dissect leadership from another angle. And as we like to end the show, success to you.